pagans and spiritual seekers. So this is going to be the first video of our divination series where I'm going to go through different types of divination. So in this video we're doing black mirror scrying, and I actually don't own one, so we're going to make one. So this mirror I bought from Michael's in like Halloween section maybe a few years ago, and I thought the frame would just be perfect for a black mirror. And I also bought just a regular picture frame from the thrift store. And I also bought a kind of oval picture frame from the thrift store as well, because I'm going to try to replace this mirror with the glass so I can actually paint it black. You can use just regular acrylic paint for this, or any kind of ink that would transfer onto glass. So for this project I actually purchased Black 3.0. I ordered it online and I think it was around $22, which wasn't horrible, and I mean it's quite a big bottle, so I can use it for other projects. But I just wanted to make this black mirror as dark as possible, because the whole point is that there's no reflections or abnormalities into the surface, and you want it as black and as even as possible. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually cut out the mirror out of this mirror, and it's just kind of this like velvet on the back. So I'm just going to cut it out, and hopefully I'll be able to put the glass in semi-easily. So I got the mirror out of it, so now you can actually see kind of like the full frame here. And so I bought a oval picture frame from the thrift store that I thought the glass might fit. It was the only one that like might be that size, and so it doesn't quite fit, but I think I'll make it work because I want to make this as cheap as possible outside of buying the like fancy paint. So I think I'm still going to use this glass. So I just got a paper towel to put the glass on, and I'm going to clean it with some alcohol. So now that it's dry, I'm going to start painting it, and for less wastage I'm just going to put the paint directly on the glass and just try to get a thin layer. This is going to take a few layers. So this is technically a type of acrylic paint. I'm going to get for my first layer. There is some gaps, of course, but I think that's pretty good for the first layer. So I'm going to put that aside and let it dry, and then I'm going to paint this square one as well. So this first layer is just about dry, so I'm just going to start putting the second layer on, and I'm actually going to cross my brush strokes to try to smooth out what the result's going to be on the other side. So I'm just noticing as I'm putting on this second layer that you have to be really quick on spreading it because it like pulls up the first layer. I don't have a lot of experience painting glass, so like that could be like a normal thing, but I just kind of noticed it. So that's why I'm putting it on the side and just kind of like applying it as I go here instead of dumping it on top like I normally would. The second layer doesn't look pretty, but again, this is going to be the back side, so I don't really care that much as long as the other side looks good. Okay, so the second layer has dried, and I'm just going to check what it looks like. And looks like we got a spot down here that I'll try to wash off. There's a few spots that are kind of peeking through, so I'm just going to touch up those little spots and clean up the front there, and then we'll come back. Okay, so my little spot checks are dry, and I cleaned up the front, and I just shoved my thumb into the paint, of course. Let's try to pick this up again, move that out of the way, and this is what the front looks like. So there is a little bit of like the brush mark when you like look at it really close. It's hard to tell with the light, but it's still quite dark. Like I might, like maybe if I used a sponge, it would have came out a little bit better. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to wash it off and try a sponge and we'll see how that looks. So I washed it off. I'm going to try applying a couple layers with the sponge. So the sponge already looks a lot better, and I just want to point out that this is the variety pack that I bought, and I thought that tiny little brush was the best choice, not the freaking sponges. So yeah, too bad I wasn't smart enough to think of that the first time, but we'll see how this turns out. Okay, so I did 2 layers of the black using the sponge, and it looks way better. Like it's still kind of like speckly, but way better than the like brush strokes. So I'm going to try to put this in the frame now. So the glass is bigger than the like frame hole, so I'm just going to line it up like centrally, as much as possible, and I'm just gonna like hot glue the crap out of the back. And yeah, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be good enough, I think. Here's our black mirror, and I mean, yeah, there's a gap at the top and a small one at the bottom, but it'll still work for what I need it for. And I mean, look at this friggin' awesome frame. So yeah, so now we're going to use it. Also, here is my little square one that I did. So this one does have the brush strokes, but like this would work just fine. I mean, it's kind of nitpicking of the like brush strokes, because if you use it the way it's supposed to be used, I don't think there'd be a problem. So how do you use a black mirror? So the recommended way of using it is in complete darkness and just having either 1 or 2 candles lit, depending on what you read. And 2 candles, you'd have 1 on each side, and 1 candle you just have it straight kind of in the center of the mirror. And you're going to use this as a focus point to kind of elicit vision. That's what scrying is. You're trying to elicit visions. Now, you're not going to see them with your eyes in the mirror. You're using the mirror to reflect into your mind's eye whatever you're trying to see or get answers for. One way to practice using this is doing about 15 minutes a day where you set it up, and instead of just saying like, what's my future, or trying to elicit a vision, envision seeing an object in the mirror. So, and objects, you know, so envisioning an apple, envisioning shapes, colors, stuff like that. And do that for every day for approximately 15 minutes. I mean, if you have time, obviously. And you're just trying to kind of practice your mind in seeing into the mirror. Fun fact, apparently Nostradamus used a scrying mirror to get his visions of the future. So I'm going to practice using this for a couple weeks at least, and then I'll give kind of an update on how this is going. If anything else, I mean, it looks cool. It could be just a cool little decor piece, which is probably what my little one will turn into. There are things online saying that if you're not using it to like keep it covered, because you can open a window and stuff like that. I've also heard stuff like that with just regular mirrors of, you know, you don't want them across your bed, or you don't want them in a certain place in your house or in a certain time open, right? Not having it covered. And I personally feel like if you have adequate protections on your space, on your home, stuff like that, you're not really opening a window through the mirror unless you're purposely using it for that. I'm not going to be opening a window in this mirror. There's not going to be things coming through this mirror. I'm using it as a reflective surface of channeled messages that I'm getting through channeling that I'm just reflecting it back into my mind's eye so I can see it. So there's nothing really coming through the mirror. But by all means, if you feel more comfortable having them covered when you're not in use, then you do you. So that's the end of this divination video. Thank you so much for watching my video. Like and subscribe, all that jazz that YouTubers say. I don't know if it makes a difference. I subscribe to people that I want to subscribe to, not because they told me to, but people still do it. So am I a YouTuber now?